Hi, I'm Kim. Today I'm going to show you how to make a really cute vase out of an empty spaghetti sauce jar. So these are the supplies you need. You need an empty jar, which has been cleaned out. I'm using a spaghetti sauce jar, which I cleaned out and it's dry now. You need tissue paper, which I'm going to actually use a pattern, which is made out of tissue. A foam brush, scissors, sandpaper, and for mine I'm going to use some cord, and I'll show you what I'm going to do with it. But you can use other sorts of embellishments that you like. I'm also going to put buttons on mine. And depending what you're going to put on your jar, you may need other types of glue. So to get started, first you're going to want your jar to be cleaned out, dried, and remove the label. And then the next thing you're going to want to do is sand the jar down a little bit, just to give it a rough surface so that the glue would adhere and the paper will adhere. It just makes it a little bit easier to do that. So just, gently scratch it up. I'm not even sure what grit of sandpaper this is. It's what we had at our house. So, just sort of make do with whatever you have. Okay, so now that you've sanded your jar, what you'll do is cut up your tissue paper, or in my case, this pattern, into smaller pieces. They don't have to be exact. They don't have to be, anything special. Just cut it up. And I've actually separated out a piece that I want to keep whole that I'll also use. So if you have anything interesting like that, you might want to do that. But other than that, just cut it up. Okay, now you can see I've cut the pattern into smaller pieces. So now it's time to actually start decoupaging. So we're going to take our jar and our foam brush. I'm going to get a little bit of the Mod Podge and cover just one section of the jar. And then just start placing the pieces over top of it. And then you just can keep adding pieces. You can just glue over top of what you just glued down, glue on top. Just make sure it sticks. And you can glue right on top of the paper too, to make sure it sticks if you didn't quite get enough glue on there to begin with. Or, as you add more, you'll want to layer the paper as you go along. And it's okay if you go under. We'll just cut that part off when we get done, when it's dry. So then just continue going all the way around in the same way until your jar is completely covered. Okay, so now I have added the tissue paper all the way around, and now I'm just going to make sure that everything is smooth and everything's covered. I'm going to add another piece up top here. Like I said, just leave the extra paper on there, and when it dries, we'll cut it all off. But just make sure you got everything covered and smooth. And then everything is tacked down pretty good. And there's nothing poking out. Sometimes the edges will poke out a little bit. This would also be great with maybe different colors of tissue paper. Would make a really pretty effect. So, okay, so for now, we let this dry. And then we will move on to the next step. So allow the jar to dry for approximately 15 to 20 minutes. And then if you want to add some more to it, some extra layers, maybe you even want to add maybe some words or printouts that you might have. I'm going to add some more pattern pieces that I thought were interesting to the jar. So you just do that in the same way. You know, you just take your Mod Podge and add some to your jar. Go right over top of the tissue paper from before that's already on there. And add your extra pieces. Just attach them. I didn't get enough on here, so I'm just going to add some on top. And since the tissue paper is thin, the glue will go right through and hold that down. Add a little more here. Make sure everything's attached, nothing's sticking up. Thought this was cute. Like I said, really just use your creativity and add whatever you like to this. Alright, and then we're going to let this dry again for another 15 to 20 minutes. Oh, and if you get this, you see I use my fingers a lot with this Mod Podge, it washes off. You just need hot water and soap, or you can just, when it dries, peel it right off of your hands as well. So, alright, we're going to let this dry for about 15 to 20 minutes. Now that you let your jar dry for about 15 to 20 minutes, you can go ahead and trim off any excess paper that you have around the edges. So if you had any sticking up around the lid, go ahead and trim that off. And also around the bottom. The bottom's not necessarily as important. But if you have extra hanging around that's not glued, go ahead and trim that off. Alright, then you can move on to the next step. For this, I'm going to add, this is actually macrame string or rope, cord, I think it's called, which I just happened to get at a great deal. I was actually going to use twine. You could use yarn. You could really use anything. So I'm just going to glue this around the top to kind of cover up this lid part and make it look a little prettier. Actually, first I'm going to add, I found this pretty button, and I'm just going to stick it on here. I'm just going to thread it on to the cord and kind of pull it down a little ways. And then I'm just going to use Elmer's Glue All, multi-purpose glue, to do this part. So I'm just going to put a thin layer, around here. And please do that a lot neater than I did. I guess, and decide what your front's going to be, and start in the back, and then just go around. Oh, and Elmer's dries clear, so if you drip a little like I just did, it's okay. It'll dry clear. And then as you go around, just keep adding a layer of glue around. And then just add that on. Okay, and then continue around. And then I'm going to have my button right here, so we're going to pull that up. Oops. Pull it tight until you get all the way around here up to the top. Alright, now when you get to the end, just cut it off in the back to sort of hide the end. Fix that. And you want to get your cord close to each other. And actually, I forgot to put glue. Make sure you have enough glue. And like I said, Elmer's glue dries clear, so if you have extra glue, it's fine. And make sure everything's attached. And trim off any straggly things you might have. And I'm just going to wipe off. I got some glue on the inside there. Wipe that off. Just make sure everything's nice and tight. Then I'm just going to let that dry for a while until it's dry. It says about 25 minutes or 35 minutes it takes for the Elmer's glue to dry. So this is the final product. It's an adorable vase that was made out of an old spaghetti jar that, you know, maybe would have been tossed out. And really cute pattern paper. And I actually think it would be adorable with button bouquet, which you can also learn how to make on my blog, which is at BBBellezza.com. And you'll find all kinds of free tutorials there. You can find a link to sign up for my newsletter there, and then you'll even get more tutorials that way. I also sell tutorials and digital workshops for much more in-depth tutorials on how to make things. Alright,